A drone show consists of anywhere from, we do as little as 100 up to 500 drones.
A bunch of these different devices, and they have these lights on the bottom. Will go up in the air, make these shapes and light up, and just make different cool displays up in the air.
It's usually choreographed with some sort of music or some sort of theme based on the event that we're going to.
We tell a story in the sky, and we connect it through multiple senses. So it's like you're not just watching a show, you're watching a story in the sky that also has accompanying music with it. People come to us with ideas. We'll kind of ask for some just examples. It could be clip art from the internet or something like that.
We take their ideas and we create a storyboard from that. That way we can come back to the customer and show them a brief idea of what their show is going to look like before we actually begin creating it. That way they can come in and they can start making edits, they can make suggestions, rework things, reorder things. So it's really a fully customizable show.
Once that's approved, we'll add the kind of more colors and animations and more detail to it. Big part of doing these drone shows is really also looking at the logistics of it.
We take all the brunt of any of that stress. Our goal is that you don't see anything bad. There's no cracks, nothing showing. So a lot of that does come down to us and making sure everything runs smoothly, because that's always the goal. I mean, they want a fun, exciting thing without all the bog down of all the intricacies behind the scenes, and that's for us to do.
Safety is very important to us, so we need to make sure that we have a 200-foot safety radius around the show, and we need to make sure that we can secure that. Once we get on site, we unload everything, we set up the base station, determine where the launch pad exactly is, and start setting out our drones and lay out our grid. We typically like to get there 4 or 5 hours in advance. We can do it in a shorter time, but we like to get there early to make sure that we can account for any difficulties or unknowns.
We had a show recently where a combination of having new staff and mixture of weather kind of kick in. Right as we're about to start one show, pilot hits launch, show doesn't go on. We're like, oh, okay, what is going on? And then the event organizer calls and they're like, hey, what's going on with the show? And we're like, give us a couple minutes. Downpour. It was really just the critical thinking skills of our pilot and the helpers out on the field to really run out and see where the communication error was. About 10 minutes later, we had the show up and running. There's always going to be things that are last minute, especially with weathers, but we have a ton of professional experts on our staff that can solve those things on the fly.
45 minutes or so before launch, we turn all the drones on and we wait for the cue, and then we start the show.
We hear folklores and tales and see movies about these giant fantastical beasts, but you don't see that in real life. You can imitate it, and there's ways that has been successful, but I don't think there are many like a drone show.
When I was younger, I used to love watching music videos because I love to see how artists interpreted their music in a video. So I would sit there at night on MTV and with my VHS tape and hit record and record my favorite music videos. It bloomed from there to me doing synchronized Christmas lighting on my house. So then I got to interpret what I thought the music would look like in Christmas lights. And now we get to interpret what we think the music would be, or the event or the theme, in images in the sky. It's amazing where it's come.
Maybe you're doing fireworks displays, laser light shows, stuff like that. You could instead, or in conjunction with those things, do a drone show. The imagery in the sky sort of melds into the sound that we've designed specifically for the show. But there's a playfulness to it that I really appreciate.
Being able to actually see not just it on a computer screen, but in real life and see people's actual reaction is really cool. This comes down to partially being at BCI. We really think a lot about the guest experience. We really put ourselves in the guest shoes, try and see what their expectation might be and see if we can come up with something that they don't even know that they want.
A lot of the college athletics teams that we're working with, they have an active interest in building relationships with sponsors. We help them do that by flying sponsor thank you segments in our shows. And what's more, we can send test renders of what those thank you segments will look like even before the shows go out, so that if a university liaison is talking with a potential sponsor, they can put those renders in front of the sponsor and create a lot of buy-in.
We like to ask, number one, who their advertisers are, and number two, how those advertisers want to be represented. So if there's a certain advertiser who is in agriculture, or maybe they're in the entertainment industry, how can we incorporate icons with those advertisers?
The creativity that you get to have with the drone show is really cool. You really just make everything from the ground up, coming up with all the ideas for the shapes and just seeing everything from scratch just be built all the way to flying it is a really fun process.
Some will come in with a pretty developed idea of what they want. Some will come in with almost nothing and leave it all up to us. And I think both are great in their own ways. I mean, obviously with blank canvas, I get to really experiment. And with a developed idea, I get to really challenge myself. Where can this be improved? What can I add on to this?
So many people that always come up to us after the shows tell us how amazing it was. And even if it's a smaller drone count show, we do our best for every show and make sure to put our best foot forward no matter what. People always come away just amazed.
When NASA launches, for example, like when you see their missile go up and everyone's clapping, back at their base station, we're kind of doing the same thing. We're like, it's gone off, it looks great. We see the words, we hear the ooh-ahs, and that's kind of that goosebump chill of satisfaction.
This is technology. This is the modern age, man. It's not something that's been done before.
Everybody has the same event. There's so much noise, there's so much sound. What can you really do to get your event or your name out there that nobody else has really done before? And that's a drone show. You have your own logo in the sky. People are taking pictures with it, videos with it. They're posting it all over social media. You can't ask for better advertising, honestly.
When it's a really cool shape that resonates with you up in the air, it's kind of hard to explain or match that feeling. It's just a completely new experience that I think people need to see.
Fireworks displays are amazing. I love fireworks, but when you can really tell a story in the sky and have that story represent your event, people make that emotional connection and they never forget that.